Hola y bienvenido a podcast 3.4 Direct and Indirect Object Pronouns. I know this is a review for you guys, but we still seem to be having some trouble with it in your writing and on tests and things, so we're going to go over it one more time. Direct object pronouns, okay? These are pronouns used to replace the direct object in a sentence. So your direct objects pronouns are me, te, lo or la, depending on if it's masculine or feminine, nos, and then los or las, again, if it's masculine, feminine. All right. They answer the questions what or whom. All right. So it receives the action of the verb. Okay. Juan cuts what? Juan cuts the apple. Juan corta la manzana. La manzana is the direct object. Juan ve a Marcos. Juan sees Mark. Who does he see? Mark. Okay, so direct object. A lot of times we use direct object pronouns to avoid repetition. Did Juan cut the apple? Yes, Juan cut it. We're not going to say, yes, Juan cut the apple. Did you cut the apple? Yes, I cut the apple. What did you do with the apple? I cut the apple. It gets very repetitive, so we use them all the time when we talk. And if you think about how you speak just in English, you use direct objects all the time. So your placement for direct objects, they're always going to go in front of the verb. You're always safe putting them in front of the verb. All right? So yo te conozco, I know you. Yo me amas, you love me. Okay? When you have an infinitive or the ando or yendo form of the verb, that's the ing form of the verb, you can attach your direct object pronoun to the end of the verb. Okay? Yo estoy ayudándola. Okay? Notice when you add it to the ando or the yendo here, like on ayudándola, we add an accent on the a in ando. Okay? Tú necesitas hacerlo. You need to do it. So either one of those is correct. However, if you still put the direct object pronoun in front of the verb, if I said yo la estoy ayudando, that is also correct. Okay? Attaching it to the end is just a more advanced form. Okay? When you have a sentence that is, no, I don't want to do this, I don't know you, then you're going to use the direct object pronoun is going to right after the no. Okay? The no will come first, then the direct object pronoun, then your verb. No te conozco. You don't love me. No me amas. Okay? Indirect objects now, they answer to whom or for whom. And I will tell you, as a general rule, you are going to have a direct object in a sentence where you have an indirect object. So you should be able to go through your sentence, identify your direct, and then identify your indirect. Okay? Juan dio la manzana a Maria. So Juan gave the apple to Mary. He gave what? The apple. That's your direct object. To whom did he give the apple? Mary. Mary is your indirect object. All right, so then you have Jorge compró las flores para mí. George bought the flowers for me. So he bought what? The flowers. That's flowers are your direct object. For me is your indirect object because he to whom or for whom. Okay? So he bought them for me. So identify your verb, identify your direct object, then you can identify your indirect object. Okay? Your indirect object pronouns, all right, me, te, le, nos, and lace. So you do not need to know the gender. You only need to know if it's singular or plural. So the rules for replacement of your indirect object pronouns follow the same rules as the direct object. They're going to come before the verb. If you have an infinitive, if you have an ando or yendo, you can add it to the end. If you have a negative sentence, I didn't give it to her, you're still going to put no, and then the lay, all right, and then da. Okay? So when you're using DOPs and IOPs together, this is a little bit trickier. When you have a direct and an indirect object pronoun, the indirect object pronoun always comes first. He gave it to me yesterday. He gave what? It. That's your direct object. To whom or for whom? To me. That's your indirect. So we're going to say may. That comes first. That's your indirect. Lo for your direct object. And then dio, he gave. So me lo dio, he gave it to me yesterday. if both object pronouns are in the third person, you change the lay or the lays to say. So if they're both going to be like she and it, okay, if I was saying like he gives it to him, he gives what, it is your direct object, to him is your indirect object. But I do not say lay, lo, da. Okay, I change the lay to say. So it's say, lo, da. Little tricky. It does look like a reflexive, but when you have both, you just need to know that it's an indirect object. Be careful now when you go. So the tricky part with direct, indirect, reflexives, all of this comes when you're trying to read things and when you're trying to use them in your own writing. How do I use them correctly? How do I know which is which? Let's look at these examples. Me baigné hier. I bathed myself yesterday. How do I know that that's what it says? How do I know that this is reflexive? Me matches the same subject as the person doing the action of the verb, right? Because baigner is the yo preterite form of baigner. So me, baigner, they're both in the yo form, so it's reflexive. The second example, te baigné hier. Right? Now I still have baigner in the yo form in the preterite, but my pronoun is te, so it can't possibly be reflexive because reflexive pronouns match. So that means it has to be direct. Looking at the sentence, we know it's usually going to have, we have to have direct and indirect if we have them together. All right, so there's only one pronoun, so I bathed you yesterday. So say lo baigné hier. All right, so what am I going to do with this one? Is it reflexive? Well, we can answer that question right away because the verb is in the yo form in the preterite. So none of those pronouns are in the yo form, so it's not reflexive. Okay, so mark that one off the table. So what comes first? I have say right here, right? So your say is your indirect because indirect comes first. Okay. What comes next? I have lo right here, right? Lo is going to be your direct object pronoun, right? So say is your indirect, lo is your direct. So I gave direct him, okay, so these match up, all right, a bath to whom or for whom? For Maria, so this has got to go here, right, for Maria. And remember, we change the lay to say when we have both because we have third person, him and Maria. Hopefully that makes some sense. If you have any questions, come and talk to me in class.